Hey, welcome to another video from Hegarty Maths. It's Mr. Hegarty here, and in this video we're summarising the sine, cosine and tangent graphs and pointing out to you some key values that you have to commit to memory, I'm afraid. So let's just have a little recap of what these graphs look like. You should remember these graphs and be able to draw these graphs fairly easily. The key things to remember here: the sine and cosine graph are like wave graphs. The sine graph starts at 0, 0. It goes over here to 91, it then comes back here to 80, 0, it then goes over here to 270, negative 1, and then it goes over here to 360, 0. And it's a wave function between that, and it repeats itself over this side. Now remember, the cosine graph is very similar to this, other than it starts at when x is 0, y is 1, when x is 90, y is 0, when x is 180, y is negative 1, when x is 270, y is 0, and when x is 360, y is equal to 1. So some key points on there that we should probably label: the 270 here, the 90 here, and the 270. If you know how the sine graph behaves at 0, 90, 180, 270, 360, you'll be able to draw it. Similarly, if you know how the cosine graph behaves when x is 0, 90, 180, 270 and 360, you'll be able to draw it. So you have to do a bit of memory there. Now similarly, you have to remember the tan graph, and the best way to remember the tan graph is between negative 90 and positive 90 here. Okay, the key thing is when x is 0, tan x is also 0, and there's another good one: when x is 45, tan 45 is 1. Okay, and when x is negative 45, tan negative 45 is negative 1. And you know it asymptotes at negative 90, then it comes up to go through this point negative 45, negative 1, then it goes to 0, 0, then it goes to 45, 1, and then it asymptotes off there to 90. And then the tan graph repeats itself immediately. The other side of 90, it starts off down here like it did before, and it continues the same pattern. So you just have to remember those graphs and be able to spot them. Unfortunately, there are some values of sine, cosine and tan you must remember and commit to memory, and they are the key values when x is between 0 and 90. I am afraid you must learn this table. You need to know all of these values, like sine 0 is 0, sine 30 is a half, sine 45 is root 2 over 2, sine 60 is root 3 over 2, sine 90 is 1, cos 0 is 1, cos 30 is root 3 over 2, cos 45 is root 2 over 2, cos 60 is a half, and cos 90 is 0. Lastly, tan 0 is 0, tan 30 is root 3 over 2, tan 45 is 1, tan 60 is root 3, and tan 90 is actually undefined, and that will help you draw the graphs. Now I have got a way to really help you learn these and commit these to memory, so I'm going to show you that to save you a bit of time. Let me take you through it here. All you need to remember is the following. Remember the sine one, and remember it this way. All you've got to remember is when x is 0, sine x is, I'm going to write root 0 over 2. The next one is going to be root 1 over 2. The next one is going to be root 2 over 2. The next one is going to be root 3 over 2. The next one is going to be root 4 over 2. Now the reason this helps you remember it, all you've got to remember is root 0, root 1, root 2, root 3, root 4, and all the time it's over divided by 2, divided by 2, divided by 2, divided by 2, divided by 2. Now, root 0 over 2, that's clearly 0, isn't it? Root 1 is 1, 1 over 2 is the half. So just like the slide before. Now root 2 over 2 is a genuine surd, you can't change that, so leave it as root 2 over 2. Root 3 over 2, you can't change that, it's a genuine surd. But root 4 over 2, well, root 4 is 2, and 2 over 2 is 1. Okay? Now the great news about this is the cosine graph, the values are exactly like the sine values, but the other way around. If that's 1 there, cosine 0 is 1. Cosine of 30 is the same as sine 60. It's going to be root 3 over 2. Cosine of 45 is the same as sine 45, it's going to be root 2 over 2. Cosine of 60 is going to be the same as sine 60, it's a half, and cosine of 90 is going to be the same thing as sine of 0, it's 0. So you can see that this one here has now gone here. This one here has gone here. This one here is stayed here. This one has gone here. And this one has gone here. So if you remember the way the sine one goes, the cosine one's just the other order. And I've also got a little trick for you to remember the tan one. It is true, and we will find this out later, that the tan function, tan x, is always the sine x divided by the cos x. It's the value of sine x divided by the value of cos x. So let's just think, what is 0 divided by 1? It's 0. What is a half divided by root 3 over 2? Well, we may have to write that down. A half divided by root 3 over 2 is the same as a half multiplied by the reciprocal of this, which is 2 over root 3, which is going to be 1 over root 3. But we must rationalize that third, times it on top and bottom by root 3, and we'll get the answer root 3 over 3. Okay, so I know that's a bit long-winded, but it will always get you the answer. What's root 2 over 2 divided by root 2 over 2? It's clearly 1. What's root 3 over 2 divided by a half? Let's write that down. Root 3 over 2 divided by a half is like root 3 over 2 times 2 over 1. The 2's cancel. It's going to be root 3 this time. And what's 1 divided by 0? Anything divided by 0 is undefined. And that is a way how you remember them. That table, trust me, is the same as the table I showed you before, but it gives you a way of remembering these, okay? So all you've got to remember for sine is root 0 over 2, root 1 over 2, root 2 over 2, root 3 over 2, root 4 over 2, and then use those to simplify some of the answers. The cosine one is very like it, but in the other direction, and the tan x values is just the sine one divided by the cosine one. Sometimes you may need a bit of working. After you've written out this table a few times, basically it'll be in your head. I don't even work these out anymore. I just know straight away. If someone says to me cosine 60, I know it's a half. If they say cosine 30, I know it's root 3 over 2. And you need to get yourself to that point eventually. Anyway, that's it for this particular video. Thanks loads for watching.